August is a month that a lot of people want to give up on their gardens. Well, I'm here to tell you, never give up. I'm Farmer Chas, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what you're doing in August to keep your garden thriving and preparing. So a lot of the plants may look like they're on their way out, they look like they're dying, they look like they have diseases. So there are a lot of plants that you can either start pulling out to get ready for the fall, or you could just plant some more seeds in hopes for an additional harvest going into the fall season. So what I've done is I'm going to show you around to show you what I'm going to pull out, in addition to what extra seeds I may put in for the fall gardening. Gardening can be a year-round thing, and make sure that you keep all of your emphasis on making sure you make the best plants for whatever space that you have. I'm a small gardener and I just want to keep going. So everybody, let's get going. We all know that I love to experiment with plants. So this plant here is hibiscus. I've never grown hibiscus before. So what I'm doing here is just to see if I can get any of the hibiscus flowers to grow. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. I'm gonna have to do a bit of research, and I've had some leaves that are starting to turn. I don't know if it's because of the season or what. I fertilized it, I water it, and hoping that in here, the hibiscus leaves themselves, I'm hoping that they produce some type of flower, because what I want to do is make some type of tea. Along with the hibiscus plant that I have in a pot right outside of my sun porch, I have a pansy plant, and I have my basil that is teeter-tottering out here. And one of the plants that seems to get infected, there were squirrels digging all in this pot, are my zinnia flowers. Looks like they want to flower so bad, but something happened to it. And if you've been watching, like I said, following me along my journey, you'll know that I've also started seeding in pots outdoors. So this entire space along the back side of the sun porch, I have a variety of different pots here, and I'm going to plant some fall plants all along the back side and put them in pots, just to see if I can start some of the fall gardening pretty soon, right beside the hibiscus plant. But in the meanwhile, I've also gotten a number of these red peppers. This is a mystery red pepper plant. And when I say mystery, it's simply because I forgot to save the label for this. So I have used it in some pickled peppers that I did for a family member. And I'm hoping that they are spicy enough for their liking. One of the other things that I'm doing this season is I had cilantro here, and I'm simply letting it go to flower so I can get the seeds for next season. When you let a plant go to flower to gather seeds for next season, it pretty much saves you for the next gardening season, so that you don't have to buy that extra pack of seeds that you would normally have. So we're going to start here on the edge. You'll see that I have my Roma tomato plant. It's full of tomatoes. So this is the plant that had a late start. It didn't do very good to start out, but look, it is full of tomatoes here. I've picked a few. I have a few in there getting red. I have trimmed this bush quite a bit because there have been, as you can see in here, a lot of leaves that are dying out and dead. And right below it, if we take a huge look here, you see that the zucchini plant is getting larger and larger. But if you check the bottom and you go in closer, you'll see that there's a lot of powdery mildew. So this plant I have gotten a lot of production out of. I'm very happy with it, but it too must go. So here we go. We're going to start pulling out and making space. And the reason why it's important to pull out and make space is if you look down here, you'll see that I planted 2 other seeds. So both seeds did germinate, right? But what I did in August, about a week ago, was I pulled out the plant that wasn't doing very well. And it looks like here, if you zoom in, powdery mildew is settling on some of the leaves. And I think it's spreading from the big plant that's over beside it. So what I'm going to do is come out one morning and just trim out the plant. And while we're over here, we're going to just take a look at these cucumbers. You'll notice that I had a very hard time with cucumbers this season. I've only gotten a few off the bush, but it looks like everything that I'm doing to make it healthy is actually working. What I did was I thinned it out. If you go closer to the bottom, I did thin it out. And what I did was I planted some new seedlings all down here. So I'll have some new cucumbers coming in. And then what I also did was I fertilized the existing bush and I started guiding it to where the strings, and I'm retying the strings. And so the tendrils are coming in, the new cucumbers are coming in, as you can see there, and hopefully we'll get a late fall harvest of cucumbers. Then if we look over here, this is the cherry tomato plant. So at the bottom, we picked all the cherry tomatoes, and as you can see, we go up on the bush, there are a ton that are getting larger at the top. And this is mainly because I'm cutting off the dead leaves, and as the plant grows taller, it's actually putting out more and more green tomatoes here. We zoom in here. You'll see the green tomatoes. See if I can avoid the light. Green tomatoes here that are going to turn. And one thing that we noticed, and we knew this was going to happen, I am kind of vertically inclined, so I can't reach the top. So what I need to do is take my step stool out and go in and maybe even ask for help to tie the bush up top, and maybe lean it over the trellis here up top so that we can maybe get a little bit more production out of this bush. Not at the bottom, but more so the top. And then you can see the marigolds are going strong here. And one of the things that I want everybody to see is this cherry tomato plant that's growing in here. It self-seeded itself. I'm gonna leave it to see what happens. I may even put a stake on it just to see. So it self-seeded from tomatoes that I had last season, and the tomato busted open, the seeds germinated over the course of this gardening season. I'm going to put a stake, and I want to see how tall it'll get and to see if it's going to produce anything. So it's another cherry tomato plant that I had last year, self-seeded. So let's see what happens here. Okay. As we make our way, this is the slicer tomato plant that I had. Something happened to where it looks like something was eating it, or it has some type of disease. I tried to save it as much as possible. This plant might be actually ready to come out, but what I want to see is if the tomatoes that are on here and that are established are actually going to ripen. If they don't, it's okay. I have had my share of tomatoes this gardening season. Like I said, there are a lot in there. The bottom of it is bare, and then the leaves themselves do have disease. And this is what I mean when I say going into August, it looks like your plants have been pretty beat up, and they have, between the sun and the weather and the wind and everything that comes with summer going into the fall. It feels pretty nice out here today, but the cool weather actually does the plants pretty good in my opinion. And my mass production plant of the season has got to be the jalapeno plant so far. So you'll check, very, very full of jalapenos here. I'm hoping that the bush itself doesn't break because they are loaded, all both of them. So I have two, if you look here, two jalapeno plants. So if I look up underneath the leaves on both of them, this one actually is bigger than the other. So let me zoom out. It's actually bigger, and I think it's because I've been picking more jalapenos off the one in the front. Right beside it are the okra plants, and those are seeds that I took from last gardening season. So I've picked maybe about 10 okra so far this season. This plant actually just started producing. It has these very beautiful flowers. Maybe I will another day catch what the okra flower looks like. And you can see here, the flower falls off and then the okra plant produces all these okra. So there's one here, and then there's one over here that I'll be able to pick in a couple days. And I'm sure there's some more in there. My okra plant, they're the one that have the very broad leaves. As you can see here, very broad leaf. And then this is the second Roma tomato plant. I think I'm gonna pull this one out because if I zoom in here, almost every single tomato has like some type of hole in it, and I don't want to cut into the holes to find out what's eating this plant, but it's kind of bad. And this is the Roma tomato plant. One of the stars of the season has got to be the marigolds. So if you check here, the marigolds, I go in and I deadhead them every chance that I get, and they come back beautifully. And those are the marigolds. I have them on both sides of the garden, and they're just beautiful. One of the plants that I would also like to briefly speak on is this ornamental Thai pepper plant. The Thai peppers are super duper little, and from what I've heard from a few people is that the smaller the Thai pepper, the spicier it is. I'm not sure how true that is, but I've gotten tons and tons of pepper off of this. It looks like the fruit themselves, they turn like a purplish color and then they turn a bright red. Okay, so I may grind some of these up so that I can have somewhat of like a pepper mix for seasoning. And one of the things that's different that we saw in the past is that I had a bunch of green beans down here, and one day I was out here picking green beans, and I happened to look down in the soil and I kept seeing these white bugs. Well, after a little bit of research, I have found that the white bugs, and they were all over the root of the plants, are root aphids. And I mean, they had infected them good. So you know what I did? I pulled every single green bean plant out of here. And soon I'm going to pull them out of the inside of the enclosure as well. Let's talk about strawberries a little bit. I learned a valuable lesson this gardening season. I've had strawberries before, but usually my strawberries are inside of the garden enclosure. And what I've noticed is the squirrels, insects, whatever, birds, whatever you can name, they have been decimating the strawberries before I can even get to them. The birds also come out here and peck at the marigolds. They like break the stems on them and they bend over and I have to deadhead them. But one of the lessons that I learned is going forward, and I think what I'm going to do this season is dig my strawberries up out of the ground and put them in a strawberry tower. If you go back and you watch Digging with Deb or part, I think 3 of Cousin Q's project within the Garden Glow Up series, you will definitely see the vertical garden that I'm talking about. So this plant itself, the very first one, put out a lot of strawberries this season. I've learned a couple things about strawberries. It one plant has created 3 plants because of the runners. And so now I have 3 here, and then plants itself that I planted going over 3 more there. So that's a total of 6 strawberry plants that I could put inside of a garden tower. Again, I told you before, I had marigolds all over the garden, and these are one of the stars of the show this year. But because I wasn't able to harvest too many strawberries because things are eating them before I can even get to them, I've decided that for next season, these will come out and I will use this entire space for a different type of plant. If you're watching this, please go into the comments and let me know what you would put on this side of the garden. It can't be anything tall because of my neighbor's grapevine here. It will grab onto it if I can't get out here and trim it. But it has to be something that's going to be low bearing to the ground. I'm looking for comments on what you would possibly plant on this side of my garden, something that won't grow tall, and to replace where the strawberries are, because like I said, the strawberries are definitely going to go into a tower garden for next season. The garden enclosure is a totally different beast this season, and I know that my pepper plants always do very well when the summer winds down, but this season they've done exceptionally well. So good that I almost don't know what to do. One morning I was in here picking some peppers, some hot peppers, habanero peppers as a matter of fact, and I literally had to crawl on my knees and go under all of the foliage just to get to them. So I didn't do a lot of fertilizing. They just grew out of control, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I'll take the camera and I'm just simply going to go interweave without me getting on my knees and trying to force myself in and breaking any branches. I'm going to put the phone in so that you can see all of the peppers that's coming on these plants. I can't wait to show you. Along the side of the garden enclosure, if I zoom in here, you can kind of see, if I go down and look up, all of the peppers that I need to crawl in there and harvest. And then on the back side, you can kind of see the Scotch bonnets that are gonna turn orange or yellow or whatever color they are. And I can't wait to go in and grab some of these to make some hot sauce. So as we go into the garden enclosure, you can see it looks like a jungle in here, literally a pepper jungle. So one of the things that we love, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you can really see it, but there's a bee in here, but that's great because the new chicken wire that we have in here is great. It's proving to do whatever its purpose. The bees and pollinators can come right inside, and you can see this right here. If you go in a little bit closer, the purple Reaper pepper is finally flowering. It got super tall, so if you look here, this is the top, and it goes all the way down. Super big leaves, as you can see. And this is the Carolina Reaper pepper, and then behind it is the pink tiger butt pepper. I don't see any butts on that one, but it's so far behind this Reaper plant that I don't know that I'm really going to be able to go in and reach it, but I'm going to try to do something. In here we have a lot of ghost peppers. If I go up underneath and I put the phone in there, maybe I can move some leaves. You'll see if I go in, move this back a little bit, and you go up underneath, you'll see all of the peppers, and these are all throughout. You can't really see them too good because they are green, but if I go in and I put the phone in, you'll see all the peppers that are in the back there, and I literally have to go in and crawl and get to all of these peppers. So in the back there are the chicken eats of peppers. I really think that that particular pepper is a hybrid of a habanero pepper. In the back we have our mystery pepper. If I look up top, I'm finally starting to see the buds on that. Move this leaf around, see the buds that are coming out. So I'll have some mystery peppers back there pretty soon. And if I come in here, I'll see the Scotch bonnet peppers. They're not quite, oh my goodness. Let me take it in, show everybody. If I can move some of these leaves around. I don't know. I'm gonna use my hand to do it. I finally see some of the Scotch bonnet peppers. If we look up underneath, under there, they are finally turning the color that they're supposed to turn. Move this leaf out of the way. So those are the Scotch bonnet peppers. There's so much green foliage in there that you could barely see the peppers themselves, but that's okay. And the star of the show this season has got to be this habanero plant. So if I go in here, I always have trouble pulling back the leaves, but if I go in here, they're like hanging all over the place. Put my hand in here and they're like all throughout the bush. And finally, we have the Carolina Reaper plant here. This is what I make my hot fire hot sauce. And then here is the very petite little pepper plant that we showed a couple months ago. You see I have one down there. I am not picking it simply because I want to see it turn red. And in the meanwhile, I'm gonna tie it up because we have peppers all along this bush. So I'm gonna tie it up to make sure it doesn't break. If we have a storm, I'll make sure I tie it before I go somewhere again. And in here, we also have this purple basil. It smells very good and fragrant. So I'll pick some of this, maybe use it with some sauce pretty soon. So maybe some, or a Capri salad. I love to eat Capri salad with the tomatoes and the basil. So this is just a look at some of the stuff that's in the garden enclosure. And one of the things that's beat up a whole lot are the green beans. So I got about 3 quarts of green beans. They were very delicious, but now it's time for these to come out. Hopefully everyone views my live streams and you will see me pull these out, make space in here where I'm gonna do things. Also, the carrots, I think, are almost ready to harvest. Tune into a live stream soon to make sure you see me harvesting some carrots along the way. In here, we have a pepper forest. So one of the things that I was expecting to happen in the course of a couple days was for my bell peppers to turn red, and they haven't. And the main one here is I'm going to point is this bell pepper here. Has been on here for quite some time and it's not red. And then we have the ones up top that are growing extremely big, so I'm hoping that the bush doesn't break. So what I'm going to do is take some Velcro and stake it up here to make sure that the bush overall just doesn't break. So they didn't turn red, but one of the things that we didn't anticipate, and I've been talking about this for the past couple weeks, were that this habanero plant is producing a lot. And I think what I'm going to do is, for the sake of me being able to get in and harvest as many as I can, I'm going to trim this bush back. I don't know if it's going to help me or hurt me, because a lot of times when you trim pepper bushes and any plant in general that produces food, the more you trim it, the more it produces. So I'm hoping in this case, not what a gardener would really like to do, I'm hoping that it doesn't overproduce as much as it's doing now, because what's happening is I can't get in to the other plants. I normally plant my plants the same spacing all the time, but this year I can't get to all the fruit. I'm gonna trim this back. I have some tomatoes that I'm gonna harvest. This is purple basil, very, very fragrant. I like to use it in pasta sauces. And then over here, what I'm gonna do during the course of this week is go in and finish pulling out all the carrots. So here, one of the biggest carrots that I think I have so far. You see, we pulled a carrot last week and now it's the right size. So these carrots were planted back at the end of May. We left them in and they're kind of like a perfect size for what I planted. I think these are the Scarlet Nantes, which are a shorter breed of carrot. So we're gonna go in here and pick more of the carrots and hope that they're this size, if not larger. And then if I'm looking over here at this plant, I have to stake it some more too. This is a purple reaper plant. I do see some of the buds coming on here and a few other places. And hopefully I'll be able to pick some of these soon to make a hot sauce with. And if I look in the back here, my ghost peppers are finally starting to turn red. So I'll be able to soon go in and harvest those as well. And show you something. This is why we like to keep up with harvesting. This okra, definitely too big. And this okra, definitely too big. So we're hoping it doesn't affect the growth of the other okras on these plants. But we're gonna pick these off and hope that the other okra plants are producing well. This one back here is a good size. These okra are a little bit too big to eat. They've been on the okra bushes, these okra bushes here, for entirely too long, so I clipped them off just to make sure that the okras overall will produce how they should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these okras out in a sunny place, let them dry out so I can get seeds for the next year. And we know that these okra bushes in general came from seeds from the prior year. So here's what not to do with your okra. Don't let them get this long. This one may possibly be edible, but the size that we normally want them to get are about this size. So if we compare this to this, edible, not edible. So here is my favorite cherry tomato plant. The cherry tomatoes are very, very sometimes sweet, sour, delicious-y. And when you leave the tomatoes on for too long, they will split. But here, it's a perfect tomato here. And this is a not so perfect tomato here. And the purpose of doing this video is to pretty much tell you, you should always pick your tomatoes while they're like this and not like this. And this can happen when there's too much rain, when they've been left on there for too long, when the sun gets to them for too long. And so we don't want the bad tomatoes. We want all the good tomatoes. They could be used to eat raw as a snack. You could use them in various tomato dishes. Let's say you just want to saute some tomatoes and throw some stuff in it to make some sauce over some pasta, but very, very delicious tomato here. So I'm just going to come in here, and they're easy to pick off. You pretty much just roll them on off. They fall off on their own. Some fall off on the ground just like that one just did. And you have a handful of tomatoes. Voila, happy gardening. Some good tomatoes, some bad. We're gonna keep all of the good. This is my cucumber plant for the season. I had to come in and plant extra cucumber plants here because my main cucumber plant didn't produce very well because I had a very huge squash plant here. So I was away for a couple days and I had some string and I guided them, and here you'll see I have a pretty big cucumber, but before they were all very small. What I'm also doing is I come out and I check my plant. I'm checking the plant for any powdery mildew, so I don't have to cut the leaf right away, but I am going to spray it with some neem oil to see if it can fix it. If it doesn't fix it, then I'm just going to clip it off. So if you see here, this is one of the cucumber plants that I originally had. The root is dead. It's not going to produce anymore. So what I'm going to essentially do is go in and clip out this one and just take it off of the string. It's not going to help any cucumbers. And there's a mini cucumber here. It is edible, but if we zoom in and we see the cluster of flowers, this just wasn't a healthy cucumber plant. It didn't have a good start. So now we're just going to take it out, toss it over to the side, and see what happens. So also in here we have little baby cucumbers on these plants. This one looks like it had a pollination issue, but I can see my main cucumber plant as it spreads and then grows up the string. It's grabbing on. It's actually very healthy. And one of the things that I had to do to make it very healthy was give it some fertilizer that was like an all-around balanced fertilizer. I put granular fertilizer at the bottom, and then I came in and I put some fertilizer, some liquid fertilizer down at the bottom. So this string here, I'm going to actually tie to some new seedlings that I put down. I dropped some more seeds because I knew that my cucumber plants weren't doing well. So hopefully the new cucumber plants before the winter sets in will come in and they will go up these strings just like this one. So soon we'll have like 1, 2, 3, quite a few more cucumber plants coming in. So what I'm going to do eventually today is go in and help guide the cucumber plant up the string so that it can go all the way up the trellis here. And when the new ones come in and the old ones die out, I'll clip the old ones out and I'll guide the new ones going up. And that's a little bit about cucumber plants. Maybe about a week ago, you could have watched my live stream where I added potting soil to these 2 pots, and then I sprinkled in red giant mustards in this one and pak choi cabbage in this one. In this one, you'll see that it came up, and the reason why I put the containers outdoors is because I want the weather and whatever elements for the plants to be used to them from seedlings up. So you'll see here we have seedlings, and eventually I'll come in and I'll thin them out. But this one I used the zigzag method, so I went here and then up and then up and then down and then up, and I'm gonna thin them out because these cabbages get a little bit bigger. But what I wanted everybody to notice is how these I did zigzag and they're spread out, whereas these I sprinkled and they're all in here. And the reason why I sprinkled these is because I'm simply going to take the leaves off of them, and this one I want them to grow into a full plant, and I'll harvest them one by one. So here, as I said, you'll see what happens when you plant seeds from the beginning. You sit them outside and they come up nice and pretty into your containers for your container garden for the fall. All right, let's get going, and happy gardening, everybody. This is one of my basil plants that I have. And a lot of people, they come in and they pick off leaf by leaf. But one of the things that you could do to harvest basil and keep your harvest going is to clip them in beneath the nodes, and then they'll grow out. So I've clipped this basil before, and you come in here, you'll see where I've clipped it before here. And so what happens is the 2 side shoots will come out and produce more basil. So what I'm going to do now is clip this basil down here in the middle, this basil harvested, but then the plant will continue to put out more side shoots. So what I'm going to do here is clip this one where it has a side shoot. And then what's going to happen is these two will be bushy and it'll produce more and more basil going forward. And it smells delicious. So I hope everyone really enjoyed the preview of my gardening and what I'm doing in August to get ready for the fall. Remember, never, never, never give up. And I hope you enjoy seeing all the peppers, and I can't wait to show you even more content of everything we have coming and everything that we're going to do for the fall. So if you enjoyed the content today and you have any questions about anything in my garden, please drop a comment in the comment section, give me a thumbs up, and I hope you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can get notified on any additional content that I have coming your way. Happy gardening, everybody.